My name is Rebecca Morgan and I'm 31 years old. 2 months ago, my mother looked me dead in the eye and said something that changed everything. She told me that my sister makes herself physically ill whenever she's around me and that I needed to pack up my stuff and get out tonight. No discussion, no cooling off period, just go. I didn't lose it. I didn't scream or cry or beg her to reconsider. Honestly, I felt numb. I grabbed my old maroon backpack from the top shelf of my closet, the same one I'd had since my freshman year at college, and I just walked out. My dad was standing in the hallway the entire time, watching me carry my stuff past him. He didn't say a single word. Not one. Just stood there like a statue. Then came the silence. 7 whole days of it. No calls, no texts, nothing. It was like I'd completely disappeared from their world. But here's the thing, and this is gonna sound weird, that silence didn't break me. It actually saved me. It gave me something I'd never had before, crystal clear vision of what was really going on in my family. Before I dive into the whole mess, I gotta ask you something. If you've ever felt like the person nobody in your family really sees, like you're invisible even when you're standing right there in the room, I want to hear from you in the comments. Seriously. I read every single one. And if you stick with me through this story, I promise it's gonna hit different. Let me take you back to that afternoon in February when everything fell apart. I'm at my parents' kitchen sink, washing a casserole dish under warm water. This was our routine. Every other Friday night I'd drive over, help with dinner, hang out. The house smelled like garlic bread and that lemon cleaning spray my mom's obsessed with. TV was humming low in the background. On the surface, everything looked completely normal. Except my sister Sophie had been locked in my mom's bedroom with the door shut for like an hour and a half. I could hear her voice going up and down through the walls, getting all shaky and emotional. My mom was in there too, using that soft, soothing tone she only uses when she's getting ready to rescue someone. That was always her thing, being the savior. I dried my hands on a towel, folded it the way I always do, force of habit honestly, and that's when the bedroom door swings open. My mom walks out first. Her face isn't angry, it's something worse. It's decided. There's a huge difference between those two things. Angry people still think you might win an argument. Decided people? They've already made up their minds and nothing you say matters anymore. Your sister says she gets physically sick every time she sees your face. My mom says it's so casual, like she's reading an instruction manual. I need you to pack your things and leave tonight. I look past her down the hallway. My dad is standing by the closet, his hand on the door frame. His eyes won't meet mine. Did you even ask her what actually happened between us? I ask. I don't need to, my mom says. Her whole body tenses up. I can see what hearing me push back does to her. Your sister has a real medical condition. This is causing her genuine physical pain. I fold the towel again because I need something to do with my hands. Then I just walked upstairs. My old bedroom is still there, the room I gave up when I was 12 so Sophie could have her own space. Some of my old college textbooks are still on a shelf in the corner. I grabbed that maroon backpack and packed it in under 5 minutes. Didn't even think about it, just threw in whatever was closest. My dad's still standing by that closet when I come back down. I walk right past him without stopping. He's had 31 years to say something real to me. Tonight wasn't gonna be the night. Let me rewind though. This didn't just start that day. 3 days before I packed that bag, that's where this whole thing really begins. I'm sitting at my parents' dining table with my laptop, helping my dad sort through their bank statements. This is something I do once a month because numbers absolutely stress him out. He's a contractor, been fixing people's homes for 40 years, but throw him in front of a spreadsheet and he loses it. That's when I saw it. One charge, then another. Then like 15 more charges. $3,800 spread across a month, all on their joint credit card. I pull up the merchant names and it's all boutique clothing websites, some luxury skincare subscription thing, and a reseller platform for designer handbags. Nothing legitimate. Nothing that looks like business inventory. Sophie had told them she needed the card to buy startup stock for her new online store. Third business idea in 2 years. When I bring it up at dinner, and I'm being super careful to keep my tone neutral, Sophie just completely loses it before I even finish my sentence. "You went through my purchases?" she says, her fork clattering down. "Your dad asked me to help with the statement," I explain, trying to stay calm. "I'm just looking at." "You always do this," she interrupts. Her eyes go wet instantly. Not gradually. Like someone flipped a switch. "You always have to make me look bad. You always have to point out what I'm doing wrong. I'm really trying to build something here and all you do is judge me." She pushes back from the table hard enough that her chair scrapes against the floor. Then she's gone, door slamming behind her down the hallway. And then my mom stands up. Her napkins crumpled in her fist, and she's staring at me like I just absolutely trashed the dinner table. Here's what I need you to understand. That moment wasn't some sudden earthquake. It was just another tremor in a pattern that's been happening since I was 12 years old. That was the year my mother told me I needed to move my stuff down to the basement. Sophie needed her own room for her creative development or whatever. I didn't fight it. I just picked up my sheets and pillow and made a corner of the basement work as my bedroom. My dad came down that night. I remember him standing in the doorway. His hand came up like he was about to knock, like he might actually say something. Then he just turned around and walked back upstairs without saying a word. When I graduated from the University of Michigan in 2014, I got a degree in finance and digital marketing. My parents came to my graduation ceremony. They sat in the back of the auditorium and stayed for maybe 10 minutes after the ceremony finished. Then they left. You know why? My sister had eaten something that didn't agree with her stomach, and my mom couldn't stand to be away any longer. A stomachache. That's what was more important than staying to celebrate my college degree. 28, I got promoted to senior financial advisor at the firm I work for, one of the youngest people ever to hit that position. I was shaking when I called my mom from the parking lot. I remember being so excited, so proud, my voice was literally trembling. You know what she said? "That's wonderful, honey. Listen, Sophie's boss just criticized her in front of the team and she's really upset right now. Can I call you back?" She never called back. Every single win I had got smaller the second it entered that house. Every achievement disappeared behind whatever crisis Sophie was creating that week. And I kept trying, kept thinking that if I just accomplished enough, achieved enough, they'd finally actually see me. That was the lie I believed for over 20 years. The night I packed that bag, I wasn't angry. I was exhausted. And those are two completely different things. Anger still thinks something might change. Exhaustion has stopped asking for anything at all. Let me tell you about my sister, not the version you'd hear at Thanksgiving dinner, but the version I finally figured out after 30 years. Sophie is 28. She's actually smart, genuinely intelligent, not in the book-smart way I am, but in the way she reads a room. She knows exactly when to lower her voice, when to let her eyes get all watery, when to press her lips together like she's fighting back tears but being so brave about it. She doesn't plan this stuff the way a criminal plans a heist. It's more instinctive than that. It's the only tool she's ever actually needed because it's the only tool our family ever gave rewards for. When her first 2 businesses went under, and there have been 2 before this latest boutique thing, she never said, "I failed." She'd say something like, "I'm terrified that Rebecca might be right about me," in this tiny, broken voice. That thought made my mom absolutely lose her mind. Within 20 minutes, she was calling me up. "Do you see what your criticism does to her? She's fragile, Rebecca. She's not like you. She can't handle harsh feedback." That phrase, "she's not like you," that was the chain they kept me locked to my entire childhood. It meant I was strong, so I had to handle all the damage. She was weak, so she got the protection and the shield. But here's the thing nobody talks about: if you never actually face real consequences, you never build the ability to survive them. Sophie isn't fragile because she was born that way. She's fragile because every single time she started to crack, someone rushed in and glued her back together before she could learn to fix herself. My mom had been a teacher at Lincoln Heights Academy for 32 years before she retired 2 years ago. She was really good at it too, Employee of the Year twice. She loved that job, not just the students but the structure of it, the bell in the morning, the lesson plans, knowing that there were kids who needed her to teach them something important. When she retired, she came home to a quiet house and my dad, who was already deep into his retirement routine of fishing and watching news channels. She needed someone to need her. Sophie basically volunteered without even knowing it. Every crisis Sophie created, the failed business, the boyfriend drama, the apartment she couldn't afford, it gave my mom a whole new classroom. Someone to organize, someone to rescue, someone who proved that Patricia wasn't done being essential to anybody. I was the opposite problem for her. I paid my own rent at 22. I had job promotions and success. I didn't call home crying. I called with good news, and good news doesn't give your parent anything to fix. So without really saying it out loud, my mom built a whole system of unspoken rules that kept things stable and kept her role secure. Rule 1. Never question Sophie's choices or methods. Rule 2. Never bring up money or spending. Rule 3. If there's any family tension, it's Rebecca who adjusts because Rebecca can handle it. I used to wear that label like a badge. Strong. Reliable. The one who doesn't break. Took me way too long to realize that strong was just code for disposable. My mother didn't tell me to leave that afternoon because she believed Sophie was actually getting sick. She kicked me out because I was the only threat to the whole system she'd spent 2 years building. And there was also the anniversary party she'd been planning for 5 months. Their 35-year wedding anniversary. 3 weeks away. She needed the whole family smiling for 61 guests. My father is a good person. I need to say that up front because everything else I'm about to tell you might make him sound otherwise. David has spent 40 years as a contractor, building and fixing decks, additions, renovations. The man could diagnose a structural problem in total darkness. But in his own house, he never fixed anything that actually mattered. His whole strategy for family conflict was basically one sentence: "Don't upset your mother." He said it when I moved to the basement. He said it again when my graduation got cut short. Every time I came to him with something that hurt, something that was unfair, something that needed a father to actually step up, he'd just give me this phrase: "Don't upset your mother." Like her comfort was the main load-bearing wall of the entire house, and everything else, my feelings, my dignity, my actual place in this family, was just furniture that could be rearranged whenever it was inconvenient. I remember this one night when I was 14. Sophie blamed me for breaking a ceramic bowl that she'd actually knocked off the counter herself. My mom grounded me for a week. That evening, my dad came down to the basement. He stood outside my door. I could hear him breathing. I watched the shadow of his shoes shift under the gap at the bottom of the door. His hand came up. I could hear his knuckles brush the wooden door. Then the shadow moved and he walked back upstairs without ever knocking or saying anything. He loved me. I know that's true. But love without any actual action is just a feeling you keep to yourself. And my dad kept his feelings to himself for 31 years. That was about to change, though. I just didn't know it yet. The backpack weighs like 11 pounds. I know this because the strap digs into my shoulder the same way it did on move-in day at Michigan, the one time my parents actually showed up on time to help. I set my house key on the kitchen counter right next to the towel I'd folded. I don't slam the door. I close it the way you close a chapter in a book you've read too many times, carefully, quietly, like you're saying goodbye to something that wasn't actually helping you anyway. My car starts on the first turn. I pull out of the driveway, past the mailbox my dad repaints every spring, past the oak tree Sophie and I used to climb together before that stopped being something we did. 45 minutes on the interstate, no music, no phone calls, just the sound of the highway and my own breathing, which is somehow steadier than I would have guessed. My husband Nathan is standing in our kitchen when I walk through the door. He sees the backpack before he sees my face. He doesn't ask questions. He's a lawyer and he reads people the way he reads court documents, looking for what's missing, not what's there. "I'll make coffee," he says. I sit at our kitchen table. My hands settle on the surface, and for a second my right hand drifts to my stomach. 10 weeks. I was 10 weeks pregnant, and I hadn't told anyone except Nathan. I hadn't told my parents. I hadn't told my sister. I hadn't told anyone, and now I was sitting in my kitchen holding a backpack because my mother had told me to leave. Sitting there, staring at that backpack on the floor, I made a decision that had nothing to do with my mother or my sister. My child was never, ever going to grow up wondering if they were enough. Never. I reached over and turned off my phone. The screen went black. For 7 days, I completely disappeared. Here's what I didn't know. The party was already falling apart without me. 2 weeks before everything exploded, Sophie had volunteered to organize my parents' 35-year wedding anniversary celebration. She announced it at Sunday brunch like she was accepting an award for something huge. "I want to do this for you guys," she said. "Let me handle all the planning. Everything." My mom looked so happy. My dad nodded. Nobody brought up the fact that basically every event Sophie had ever organized ended with someone else finishing all the actual work, usually me. But this time it was different. The guest list was 61 people. Private dining room at Rossini's, the fancy Italian restaurant downtown. Printed invitations. A slideshow. A catering deposit. Real, actual logistics. Sophie had pitched the party right after her second boutique went completely under. I see it now. It was a performance. Proof that she could still deliver something important. Proof she was still the daughter who showed up. My Aunt Jennifer, my mom's younger sister, she called me out of the blue 1 week before the credit card fight. Jennifer's a social worker and a nurse. She's quiet, observant. We'd never been super close because my mom kept distance between us on purpose. "Rebecca," Jennifer said, "I need to tell you something. Your mom is doing to you exactly what our mother did to me." I'm serious. I didn't get it at the time. Not really. But 3 days later, I was standing at a kitchen sink and my whole world shifted, and Jennifer's words stayed with me. Nathan had said something similar that same week. "You've been building a timeline in your head your whole life, but you've never actually written it down. Maybe it's time to change that." I didn't understand how important that was going to become. For the first time ever, I opened a blank spreadsheet. Kind I use for project management at work. Columns, date, event, what happened, who said what the outcome was. I started typing everything. Not to build a case against my family. Not to prepare for some big fight. I just needed to see it laid out, clean and organized the way I see everything in my professional life. 3 days after leaving, and my parents still hadn't called. That silence told me more than 31 years of conversations ever did. They weren't worried about me. They were just waiting for me to come back and play my part in their story. Day 4, my phone buzzes at 11:47 a.m. My dad. For a second, I almost let it ring. But that 12-year-old version of me, the one who still watches for her father's shadow under the door, she still answers when he calls. "Hey, Becca," he says. His voice is careful. "Your mom's been upset about some things. The party's in 3 weeks, and we really need to figure out the seating chart." I let 10 seconds pass. I count them out. "That's why you're calling, Dad?" "The seating chart?" He clears his throat. "We need to talk about this. You had a chance to talk about it. You watched Mom tell me to pack my bags and you said absolutely nothing. That's not fair, Becca." "Exactly," I say, and I hang up. Nathan's in the doorway of my office. He heard the whole thing. He doesn't ask what happened. He just leans against the frame and waits. He called about the seating chart, I tell him. Nathan exhales through his nose, not laughing, just this sound that means he gets it. Your mom kicked you out because your sister claimed your face makes her physically ill, I say out loud, trying to make sense of it. Your dad waited 4 days and then called to discuss table arrangements. I close my laptop. The spreadsheet is still open on the screen behind the darkness. 8 entries so far. Dates, names, consequences. Every single pattern mapped out. I'm not going back to make their anniversary comfortable, I say. I'm done being the shock absorber between this family's furniture. Nathan nods once. Just once. That's all I need. Day 6 brings 2 missed calls from my mom and 1 voicemail. I don't listen to it right away. I let it sit on my phone like an unpaid bill. You know it's there, you know what it probably says, and you know it won't contain what you actually need to hear. Nathan accidentally plays it. He picks up my phone thinking it's his. Same case, same ringtone, and the voicemail starts before he can stop it. He holds it out to me, raising an eyebrow. I press play. Becca, this has gone on long enough, my mom's voice says. It's her teacher voice, clipped and efficient. Your dad and I want you at the anniversary party. Sophie is willing to put all of this behind us. We all need to move forward as a family. That's it. 43 seconds. I listened to it twice. Not because I missed something, but because I want to be absolutely sure I'm hearing what I think I'm hearing. Listen to the framing, I tell Nathan. I'm in business mode now. The same part of my brain that catches scope creep in contract negotiations is pulling this voicemail apart word by word. Sophie is willing. Not we're sorry. Not we were wrong. Sophie is willing to forgive me for something I didn't even do. Nathan tilts his head. That's not an apology. It's a job offer, I say. Show up. Perform. Keep your mouth shut. And the deadline is the party. I save that voicemail. Not as evidence of anything. As a reminder. The next time I start doubting myself, the next time that old instinct to absorb other people's damage kicks in, I want to remember exactly how my mother sounded when she picked choreography over honesty. Day 7, a text from Sophie at 9:14 p.m. I'm on the couch with chamomile tea, feet tucked under a blanket when my phone lights up. It's long. 4 paragraphs. I read it once, then I read it again, looking for the hidden agenda underneath. Becca, I know you're hurting. I'm hurting too. This whole thing has been so hard on everyone. Mom and Dad are devastated. I hate that our family is going through this, especially with the party coming up. Can we please just be sisters again? I miss you. 4 paragraphs. 3 separate mentions of the party. 0 actual acknowledgement of what she said about me. 0 acknowledgement that her words got me literally removed from our parents' house. She doesn't apologize because in her version of events, she didn't actually do anything wrong. She reframes the whole conflict as something that just happened to both of us equally, like we're equally responsible. I screenshot it and add it to my spreadsheet. Row 15. Sophie wasn't reaching out to repair anything. She was casting a role. She needed me back in position so the anniversary could happen as planned. The full family portrait, everyone smiling, no empty chairs that would need explaining. I don't reply to her message. But that night, after Nathan falls asleep, I call someone I should have called years ago. My Aunt Jennifer. Jennifer picks up on the second ring. Her voice is calm, like she's been sitting by the phone waiting for exactly this call. I was wondering when you'd reach out, she says. Jennifer is 56, a social worker in Columbus. The kind of woman who listens while she's working, asking quiet questions, never wasting words. Jennifer, when you said my mom is doing to me what your mother did to you, what did you mean? She doesn't hesitate. Our mother had 2 daughters. Linda, that's your mom, was the favorite. Got the new clothes, first choice of everything, all the praise at dinner. I was the quiet one. The responsible one. The one told to keep the peace. Close my eyes. This script is my whole life. Your mother didn't invent this system, Becca. She inherited it. She learned that families work by picking one child to protect and one to sacrifice. When she had daughters, she did what she knew how to do. Why didn't you say something sooner? I ask. I tried. 15 years ago. Your mother stopped talking to me for 5 years. Called me jealous. Told your dad I was trying to cause problems. Jennifer's voice gets quieter. We only reconnected because I stopped pushing. And that was my mistake. I waited too long. I let 30 years go by before I looked in a mirror and said, "This wasn't my fault." Don't make that mistake, Becca. Don't wait 30 years. There's silence between us for a long moment. Then Jennifer says one more thing. If you're going to that party, don't go alone and don't go empty-handed. I didn't understand what she meant. Not yet. The invitation arrives by mail. Cream-colored cardstock, gold foil lettering, the kind that costs more per sheet than what some people spend on lunch. Inside, it says we're warmly invited to celebrate 35 years of love. Gary and Patricia. My name and Nathan's are on the inner envelope in Sophie's handwriting. I recognize her looping S's and those circular dots she uses instead of normal periods. There's also a note from my mom on her personal stationery, the lavender set she's used since I was in high school. We want the whole family there. This is bigger than any argument. Love, Mom. I read it standing at the kitchen counter. Nathan reads it over my shoulder. They didn't invite you back into the family, he says. They invited you into the photo. He's right. 61 guests. Church friends, neighbors, extended family from both sides. If I'm not there, people will ask questions. And questions are the one thing my mother absolutely cannot control. I turn the invitation over. On the back in small print, Event Coordinator Sophie Hale. She's coordinating a 61-person party. This is the same woman who can't even maintain a grocery list. Every single group project, every family gathering, every shared responsibility, Sophie commits big and delivers small. The actual work always falls to someone else. I stick the invitation on the fridge with a magnet. Not because I've decided to go. Because I want to look at it every morning and ask myself, what am I walking into? And why? 2 weeks until the party and the clock is ticking for everyone, especially Sophie. Jennifer keeps me updated. Not gossip, she's been invited to the party too. She watches things the way a nurse watches a patient whose vital signs are changing. Sophie's in over her head, Jennifer tells me on a Tuesday evening call. She booked a caterer, then found out the final bill is like $1,500 over budget. Your mom approved the overage without any hesitation. Your dad asked where the money was coming from. First real argument they've had in months. Can picture it exactly. Dad in the kitchen, reading glasses pushed up on his forehead, holding the catering invoice like it's a construction estimate that got way out of control. She also called your cousin Lisa to help with decorations, Jennifer continues. Lisa said no. Apparently Sophie promised to help with Lisa's baby shower last year and bailed the day before without any explanation. What about the slideshow? I ask. She asked your mother to choose the photos. Your mom spent 2 days going through old photo albums. I'm serious, Becca. She's drowning. I think about that image, someone swimming in the shallow end their whole life, someone who never had to actually learn because there was always a hand reaching down to pull them out. And now the water's at their chin and there's no rescue coming. For the first time in my life, I don't feel that pull to be that saving hand. How are you doing, honey? Jennifer asks, slipping into her nurse voice. I'm okay, I say. I'm thinking. Good. That's good. Calls start on a Wednesday. Not from my parents, from the outer ring of family. My mom's older sister Helen calls first. Helen lives upstate and visits twice a year. Christmas and whenever there's a crisis. Becca, honey, your mom is absolutely heartbroken, Helen says. Can't you just come to the party and be the bigger person? I've heard that phrase my whole life. Be the bigger person. It's family code for absorb the damage so the rest of us don't have to look at it. Helen, did Mom tell you what she said to me? Pause. She said you two had a disagreement. She told me to pack my bags and leave the house because Sophie said looking at my face makes her physically sick. A longer pause. Well, I'm sure there's more to the story. Ask Mom what happened that night, I tell her. Then call me back. Helen doesn't call back. My cousin Derek, my dad's nephew, an accountant in Indianapolis, texts me, family is family. Don't let pride ruin this. I type 3 different responses and delete each one. Finally, I send nothing. By Friday, 2 more relatives have reached out. Same script every time. Nobody asks what actually happened. Nobody asks if I'm okay. They all just want to know if I'll come to the party so everything looks normal. Nobody called back because nobody wanted to know. They just wanted the performance to continue. That comfortable, familiar show where everyone plays their part and nobody looks too closely at the script. Saturday morning, I open that spreadsheet again. 39 rows now. 12 years of data. Dates. Events. Who said what? What happened next? I'm not building a legal case. I don't need one. I'm doing something I should have done a long time ago, looking at my family like a business analyst looking at a broken project. When a deliverable keeps failing, you don't just fix the latest failure. You trace the pattern. You find the recurring variable. You map the dependency chain until you see exactly where the system breaks. Every single time it's the same. Sophie fails. Sophie cries. Mom shifts blame to me. I absorb it. Sophie is protected. The cycle resets. It's happened roughly twice a year for over a decade. The data doesn't lie. Nathan walks in, refills his mug, and looks at the screen. This isn't a family, he says quietly. This is a broken project with a scope that nobody controls. I close the laptop. I have the timeline. I have the pattern mapped out. But I still don't have a plan. I don't know what I'm actually going to do with this clarity, or if it even matters, or whether speaking up will change anything at all. Then Jennifer calls and everything shifts. She doesn't bother with small talk. I'm coming to the party, Jennifer says, and I think you should come too. Why? I ask. Because your mother has been telling people you're having serious marriage problems. That's why you haven't been around. Kitchen goes absolutely silent. Even the hum of the refrigerator seems to pause. She told them my marriage was falling apart. She told Helen. Helen told cousin Patty. Patty told Jennifer. My mother would literally rather have 60 people thinking my marriage is failing than admit she told her own daughter to leave. Something shifts in my chest. Not sadness. Heat. Clean, focused heat like the middle of a welding torch. She could kick me out, I say, and my voice is steady. She could ignore me. But she does not get to rewrite my story. That's exactly what I needed to hear, Jennifer says. We talk for another 20 minutes. Jennifer tells me she's already spoken to a couple of cousins. Not to recruit allies, not to stir up drama. She just asked one simple question. Has Patricia ever actually told you what happened between her and Becca? Nobody knew. Every single person Jennifer asked had only heard my mother's version. The version where I was the difficult one. The one with the temper. The one who couldn't let things go. They deserve the truth, Becca, Jennifer says. All of them. That night, I sit across from Nathan at the kitchen table. The spreadsheet is closed. My phone is face down. The invitation is on the fridge, held up by that Ohio State magnet. I'm going, I say. Nathan sets down his fork. He doesn't look surprised. He looks like someone who's been waiting for a verdict he already knew would come. Are you going for them or for you? He asks. For me, I say. I put my hand on my stomach, still flat, still invisible, just like everything about me in this family. And for this person. I refuse to pass this pattern down to another generation. Nathan nods. He doesn't try to talk me out of it. He doesn't try to plan it for me. He just says, what do you need? You there. Jennifer there. And I need to walk in knowing exactly what I'm going to do if the moment comes. When, he says, not if. I don't write a speech. I don't rehearse in front of a mirror. I've spent my whole career walking into rooms full of difficult people and laying out facts under pressure. I know how to speak clearly when nobody wants to hear it. I just need the facts. And I've had those memorized since I was 12. 5 days before the party, Sophie calls. Not a text, an actual phone call. Her voice is different. No softness. She sounds like someone reading from a checklist. Sharp. Impatient. Managing. Mom needs you there, Becca. You owe her that. That word hits heavier than she intends. I'll be there, I say. Wait, you will. She sounds shocked. I said I'll be there. She hangs up confused because every script she's ever run ends with me pushing back, her escalating and Mom stepping in to finish the job. I just skipped 3 acts. Saturday morning, I stand in front of the bathroom mirror at 6:30 a.m. My reflection looks the same as it has all month. Same jawline, same tired eyes, same little crease between my brows that shows when I'm working through something hard. But something behind the face is different. Settled. Like a building after they take away the scaffolding. I choose a charcoal blazer and a camel-colored blouse. Simple. Clean. Kind of thing I'd wear to a board presentation. Professional enough to command attention, understated enough to let my words do the work. We drive 40 minutes to Rossini's in near silence. Not tense, just quiet. Kind of quiet that happens when 2 people have already said everything that matters and are just watching the road. Parking lot is already half full. I recognize cars. Uncle Thomas's green pickup. Aunt Helen's sedan. The minivan. Jennifer is already inside. I see her through the window, seated near the door, water glass in front of her, watching the room the way a nurse watches a waiting room. She catches my eye through the glass. One nod. I take a breath. Nathan opens the restaurant door. My mother sees me first. Relief flickers across her face, then something sharper, recognition. Her smile comes fast, but her eyes go straight to my blazer, my posture, the way I walk in. She knows something is different. She just can't figure out what. Private dining room is draped in ivory and gold. Round tables for 8. A head table at the front with a 35 years banner and a 2-tier cake that Sophie absolutely did not bake. The room smells like garlic, warm bread, expensive candles. Sophie is working the room like a campaign manager. Hugging everyone, refilling water glasses, pointing the caterer around with this authority she hasn't earned. She's wearing a coral dress and heels that click on the hardwood. Then the slideshow starts. Photos from my parents' wedding. Their first apartment. Sophie as a baby. Sophie's first day of school. Sophie's high school graduation. Sophie at the beach. Sophie blowing out birthday candles while my parents beam at her. I count. 46 photos total. Me? 3. One wide family shot where I'm standing at the edge. One where I'm 6 years old, half hidden behind Dad's leg. One where I'm cut off at the shoulder. 3 out of 46. A few of the older relatives notice. Uncle Thomas's brow furrows. Cousin Lisa looks at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. I sip my water. I smile. I watch everything. My mother steps to the front of the room. She thanks Sophie for putting together this beautiful evening. She doesn't mention my name. Dessert plates are cleared. Sophie stands. Someone hands her the microphone. I want to say a few words about the two most incredible people I know, she starts. The room settles. Phones go away. 61 people give Sophie exactly what she's always wanted, undivided attention. 35 years, she says. That's not just a number. That's a lifetime of choosing each other every single day. And I want to thank you for always believing in me, even when things were hard. Her voice cracks. Perfectly executed. Even when not everyone in this family made it easy, she adds. Her eyes flick to me for just a second. That's all it takes. Everyone's watching now. But family is about forgiveness. And I'm so glad my sister is here tonight because it shows that we can move past anything. She raises her glass. The room follows. My mother dabs her eyes with a napkin. Sophie just rewrote the entire narrative in front of 61 witnesses. She made herself the gracious forgiver. She made me the one who needed forgiving. I set my glass down without drinking. She sits down to hugs and people squeezing her shoulder. My mother whispers something in her ear. Then I stand up. I don't reach for the microphone. The room is small enough and my voice carries when it needs to. I'd like to add to that toast if that's okay, I say. 61 faces turn. My mother's hand freezes on Sophie's shoulder. My father's glass stops halfway to his mouth. Sophie said family is about forgiveness, I continue. My voice is level. Same tone I use in business meetings when contractors miss deadlines and nobody wants to hear it. I agree. But forgiveness requires honesty. And there's been very little honesty in this family for a very long time. Clinking stops. The room goes completely quiet. 3 weeks ago, my mother told me to pack my bags and leave her house, I say. That night, no discussion, no questions asked. Because Sophie told her that looking at my face makes her physically sick. A ripple moves through the room. Not sound, movement. Someone leaning forward. Someone else setting down a fork. Aunt Helen's hand going to her mouth. Some of you were told I was having marriage problems. That's not true. My marriage is fine. I was removed from my parents' home because it was easier to remove me than to hold my sister accountable for $3,800 she charged to our parents' credit card on personal items that were supposed to be business expenses. Sophie's face goes completely white. I'm not here to ruin this anniversary, I continue. I'm here to tell the truth in a room that's only ever heard one version. Then I start laying out the facts. When I was 12 and moved to the basement. When I was 22 and my graduation got cut short. When I was 28 and called with good news and got silence. Every date. Every incident. Calm. Specific. Dated. Jennifer stands. Not rushed, measured, deliberate. Her nurse is calm, filling the space. She's telling the truth, Jennifer says. I watched the same thing happen to me in this family 30 years ago. Our mother did it to Patricia and me. And now Patricia has done it to Becca and Sophie. My father stares at his plate. His jaw is tight. Is that true, Patricia? Uncle Thomas asks. His voice is low and direct. You kicked her out. My mother doesn't answer. Sophie stands. Her chair scrapes the floor, that same sound from 3 weeks ago at the dining table. You're lying, she says. Her voice shakes. Not performed. Real. But then there's nowhere to run. The room is full. The door is 30 feet away. She looks for the lifeline. The sympathetic face. The outstretched hand. She doesn't find it. She picks up her clutch from the table and walks toward the door. Her heels click, slower now, unsteady. She doesn't look back. My mother follows. I sit down. Nathan puts his hand on my knee under the table. Not a squeeze. Just present. My father stays in his seat. For the first time in 31 years, he doesn't follow my mother. 6 weeks later, the nursery is pale green. Crib is assembled. The mobile with little wooden birds hangs from the ceiling. I'm 22 weeks pregnant now. My dad calls every Wednesday. Short calls, maybe 5 minutes. He asks about the baby, about Nathan, about how I'm feeling. He doesn't mention my mother, and I don't ask. We're building something small and careful. Fitting by fitting. My mom sent a card. Generic congratulations from the grocery store, but in her careful teacher handwriting, I'm trying. Not enough. Not nearly enough. But more than I expected. Sophie sent nothing. Her silence is different though, not punishment. Processing. I don't need them to be perfect. I need them to be honest. I'm standing in that nursery. Paint is dry. Crib is ready. The window is cracked open, and a May breeze pushes through the screen, turning those little wooden birds in slow circles. Nathan comes up behind me. His hand rests on my shoulder. This room has no history, I say. No patterns. No roles. Just space. There was a girl who moved to the basement at 12 without complaining. A woman who graduated with honors and didn't get seen. A daughter who called home with good news and got silence. She kept showing up. She kept earning. She kept believing that if she just did enough, they would finally look at her. She was enough all along. She just needed 7 days of silence to finally hear it. I picked up that maroon backpack and I left without a word. But the woman standing in this room is not the woman who walked out that door. This room is for someone new. Someone who will never have to earn a place in her own family. Someone who will be seen. Not because she performs. 'Cause she exists. That's my story. And if this hit home for you, I want to hear from you in the comments. What would you have done? Would you have spoken up?